Target left. Watch the wind shear. We have the target secured.
Jack felt it long before I even knew something was wrong. He wasn't barking at shadows. He was warning me.
When Jack looked at me like that, I knew something was coming.
The air felt wrong, like the whole mountain was holding its breath. I tried to calm him, not knowing he was the one trying to warn me. That was the first moment I felt it, the mountain waking up.
When the ground split beneath us, I held on to him like he was the only solid thing left. The moment the roof split apart, I knew this wasn't just another tremor. If that beam had fallen a heartbeat sooner, neither of us would be here.
But Jack stayed with me, even when the world came crashing down.
When Jack looked at me like that, I knew something was coming.
My left arm was going numb, and all I could hear was the house trying to finish the job.
He didn't freeze, he didn't run. Jack went straight for the thing that had me.
When his nose touched my hand, I knew I still had a chance.
With one good arm and one good dog, somehow, we broke that cabin's grip.
Walking out of that cabin felt less like leaving a house, and more like climbing out of a grave that hadn't finished with us yet. Every step hurt, but Jack matched my pace, like he knew I couldn't afford to fall behind.
Out there, it was just me, Jack, and a mountain that didn't care if we made it off alive.
My left arm was useless, but Jack stayed close, lending me the strength my body couldn't.
Out there, Jack wasn't just leading. He was deciding where we lived or died. When I lost my bearings, Jack never lost his. I didn't choose the direction that day. Jack chose it for both of us.
There were moments I couldn't breathe, and he was the one who kept me grounded.
He moved like he'd trained for this, like survival was in his blood. Even when I couldn't use my left arm, Jack worked like he had enough strength for both of us.
Sometimes I leaned on him, sometimes he leaned on me.
With one good arm left, Jack made sure the effort counted.
In all that ruin, Jack was the one thing that still felt whole.
Jack tested the ground first, because he knew I couldn't afford another fall. One wrong step, and Jack caught me before the mountain did.
That canyon wasn't there this morning. The mountain kept changing the rules.
I didn't trust the ground, I trusted Jack.
The world around us was ruined, but Jack kept walking like he still believed we could get out. Jack sensed the ground changing, long before I understood why he stopped.
The mountain shifted again, reminding us we weren't in control of anything.
Every time I faltered, Jack pulled me back to my feet. We weren't safe yet, but we were still moving forward. Together. My body finally said no, but Jack never accepted that.
Every pulse of pain reminded me just how close I was to giving in.
When he leaned into me like that,
It was like he refused to let me fall apart.
We walked through a valley that looked finished, like the world had taken its last breath. But somehow we kept putting one foot in the other. I did not want him to see how close I was to quitting. But dogs read what you hide, not what you say. I had been exhausted before in training and in combat, but never with the feeling that the earth itself wanted to keep me down.
When his ears snapped toward the sky, I knew he'd heard something that hadn't reached me yet. At first, it was just a hum mixed with the wind, something between a memory and a promise. But he locked onto it like it was a lifeline. Jack climbed like that sound was his objective, like we were back on a mission, and failure was not an option. He knew instinctively that if we wanted to be seen, we had to get higher and clearer than the wreckage and the fog that had been swallowing us all day.
He barked into that storm of noise like he was calling out to another soldier, certain that if he was loud and clear enough, someone would answer.
I needed something that could cut through fog and distance. Something simple enough that even with one good arm I could turn it into a signal.
With a scrap of metal and one working hand, I tried to write our position into the sky in flashes of light.
Every flash I sent was a message, and every bark he threw into the wind was backup.
Audio is dominated by the loud, rhythmic thumping and whooshing of helicopter rotors, creating a... Then the sound shifted, and I heard what I had been waiting for, the unmistakable turn of a pilot who had decided we were worth investigating. That single bark carried more than fear or panic. It carried every last piece of fight he had left in him. For the first time since the Earth broke apart, the loudest thing in my ears was not destruction. It was the sound of help closing in. We were not safe yet, but in that moment, I knew we were no longer alone on that mountain.
I spent years being the one lowered into chaos. Now I was the one looking up, hoping they'd reach us in time.
He didn't care about their badges or their gear. He just needed to know they weren't there to take me away. He read my breath, not their uniforms. When I calmed, he calmed.
Every strap they tightened felt like a step back toward safety, but Jack never let his eyes leave me.
The second he reached me again.
He watched their hands the way I used to watch a medic work, ready to react if anything went wrong.
They didn't just pull me into that helicopter, they brought him with me because they understood he was the reason I made it this far.
For the first time since the Earth split apart, everything felt still.
He'd fought exhaustion every step until he knew I was safe.
I'd flown missions before, but this was the only time I wasn't thinking about myself, only about him.
They saved my life, but he saved my will to survive.
We held each other together, long before anyone came to pull us out.
We didn't survive by strength alone, we survived because of the bond we refused.